listening to the Lovish Podcast, and I'm your host, Sita Hood, a licensed clinical social worker. Each week, I'm going to help you to develop the belief and strategy necessary to make an immediate impact on the world by deep diving into topics like mental wellness, faith, relationships, and love. I should mention before we hop into the show, this is not a substitute for a relationship with a licensed therapist. You ready? Let's get it! Hey, welcome back for another episode of the Lovish Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Sita Hood, vision architect and licensed therapist. All right, I'm not going to lie to you. Today we have to have another conversation about an unpopular opinion. So pull up a chair, get your coffee, get your tea, because we got to talk. We got to talk about this soft life stuff. I know this soft life stuff is a trend. I know it looks cute. It's aesthetically pleasing. It looks relaxing and perfect. But again, perfection does not exist. So I want to talk to you today about why the soft life is hindering your progress, or at least the soft life in the context that we see it on social media. On social media, I think that there's a couple of definitions that I've heard from people, because I've actually asked this question when this soft life stuff first came up. And some people were like, well, I see it as just me being at peace, me not having to deal with situations. I'm protecting my peace. I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. And for me, as number one, a child of God, and also as a therapist, the soft life mess, I'm just going to say mess, because that's what I've been calling it. If you don't like it, then you can always stop this episode or skip this episode. But the soft life mess goes against, number one, your process, like I said, because one, the Bible says in this world you will have tribulations, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome them. So that means that we are supposed to have friction, right? We're supposed to be faced with different tests and trials, and life is not supposed to be easy. There are parts of life that can be easy, but to go your entire life with ease, no. That means that you are rejecting some things. And it actually means that you are hindering yourself from the fulfillment of your purpose, your assignment on this earth. You cannot fulfill your assignment if you have not gone through anything, if you do not have any experience, if you are unwilling to confront the parts of you that need to be pushed, to be pruned, to grow. So this is why the soft life is unrealistic. So this is what I hear when I hear the soft life. This is why I call it soft life mess. You like the idea of living like a boss babe, but you don't like the amount of work that is required. You like the idea of an amazing marriage where your husband is respectful of you and all of that, but you don't like the idea of the behind the scenes work that it takes to get there. You like the idea of being an entrepreneur, but you don't like the reality and the work that behind the scenes, sometimes as an entrepreneur, you work more than you would if you would have had a 9-to-5. This is why the soft life doesn't work. Soft life is subjective, and some people define it as just, peaceful interactions. And some people define it as truly living a life where they're cutting people off, cutting things out. My issue is the soft life avoids real life. I want to go back to one of the episodes that I did in the past. I don't remember which one specifically, but there was an episode that I did where I said we have to be honest with people about how they are impacting us and how, they're showing up in a relationship with us instead of ghosting people. Oh, that's what it was. It was stop ghosting people. I think that's episode 50. So I talked about that because you sharing that feedback could be instrumental in the way that someone changes, whether they receive that feedback at the moment you give it or not. It is crucial to the development of that person's character, because if someone is acting a particular way, but they don't have the insight to see, hey, I actually might be the problem, that's an issue. They're going to carry that into future relationships, or if you continue to have a relationship with them, it will show up in your relationship in the future. So you have to have those real, raw, authentic conversations, even though they are uncomfortable. And a lot of times the reason why we have issues in relationships is because we're unwilling to communicate effectively and clearly. We'll say something, but we'll be like, oh, it's okay. Like I have several clients that do this where they're like, well, I want to be respectful of this person's boundaries, so I really can't say what I want. And I'm like, no, you can say what you want. That person can reject it or accept it, or you can come to a compromise, but you absolutely can say what you want. You saying what you want and what you prefer does not take away that person's free will to accept it or reject it. If you say what you want and you talk about that, you open up the door for the conversation to take place. You open up the door for growth. You open up the door. You give permission for both people in the relationship to thrive. And that even takes me back to the episode that I did with Ashley, where we talked about nourishing relationships. I'm not sure what number. I think that was like 37 or 38. But we talked about nourishing relationships and giving people the space to be themselves, giving people the space to be messy, because people come with baggage. People come with life stuff. You come with baggage. You come with life stuff. And so the soft life allows you to avoid real life, and you don't get to live life unaffected. If you're unaffected by things, you're dead. That's the reality, because we were designed as humans to feel things, and life has the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the soft life gives you permission to avoid all of those things. I want you to even think about this in the context of a doctor. Doctors, medical doctors, they tell you, and nutritionists, they tell you, okay, you should have this certain amount of sugar. You should not go above this amount of protein or this amount of iron. These are good things to have. They're okay to have, but when they're done in excess, it's too much for your system. It's overwhelming for your system, and it leads to other issues. So it's okay to experience the beautiful parts of life, but when you do it, when it's overkill, then now you have issues in your life, right? So we're going to pause right here and have a word from our sponsor for this episode. When are you going to stop pretending like you're Superwoman? Yes, I know you believe if you don't do it, it won't get done. Take a deep breath and pause with me for a moment here. You're doing too much. You know it and I know it. Let's stop pretending and get you some relief starting today. Do you set weekly wellness goals? If not, you've got to start. No more leaving yourself last on your to-do list. I want you to download the Confident Bae app and start using the weekly wellness tracker now. It's 100% free to use, and it comes with a digital journal to help you process thoughts and feelings on the go. You can even meet a tribe of like-minded women inside of Bae's Digital Cafe. I'm serious. Take off your cape, take a deep breath, and download the app at thepinkemerald.com/app or hit the link in the show notes. Okay, welcome back. So, again, the soft life movement is very similar to this whole protecting my peace and cut off culture movement. And again, how can you actually have solid, rooted, authentic relationships if you don't give space for people to grow? If you don't give space for people to make mistakes? Because again, perfection does not exist. And some of your best friendships can be developed from some of the toughest conversations. But you can't come to understand that if you're too busy. I'm protecting my peace and that energy doesn't align with my soft life vibes right now. Y'all, we gotta give that up, okay? We got to stop that. And I'm going to tell you what you can do instead of the soft life movement. And you probably already know, if you're a regular listener of the show, it's wellness as a lifestyle. If I'm living a lifestyle of wellness, and I have to be clear, that does not mean neglecting my goals. It doesn't mean that I don't have goals. It doesn't mean that I don't pursue my goals, but it means that I hustle responsibly. It means that I make choices that are in alignment with the principles and priorities of my life. So it means that I am very intentional about how I move through life. So I don't need to create this season, soft life, whatever, because it's already a practice. This is already how I live my life. And so people who are a part of these movements are either consciously or subconsciously cutting off their own evolution as well, because there's something that you are meant to experience. There's something you are meant to understand. And when you go through the conflict with people, you come to understand things about yourself, things about others, things that help you to understand the way that the world works. We are meant to experience conflict. Conflict helps us to develop problem-solving skills, strategy, grit, determination. You go through all of these things, like you go through school, because school teaches you how to develop certain skills that you will need for life. And so going through conflict is the same sort of concept. You learn how to navigate through relationships in a healthy manner. I probably would not be as great as a therapist as I am if I had not grown up in a trauma-infused environment where I used to fight all the time, where I used to throw hands all the time, where communication wasn't really a thing in terms of verbal communication. There was a lot of unspoken communication. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of hurt there. So I had to learn how to navigate through all of that in order to be the therapist that calls to attention the uncomfortableness of sitting in conflict. And learning how to navigate people through that conflict and teach people peaceful conflict resolution skills. But that only came based on my experiences of learning how to navigate through this. So I want you to sit on your own today and do an examination for yourself. Are you caught up in the soft life movement? If you are, and you feel like you can still do the soft life movement and it's not a total rejection of, conflict resolution skills and communication, and it's not a way to put that off, then, maybe tag me on social media. Let's have a discussion for how this looks in your life. Because I have yet to see somebody practice soft life and it not be a way to be avoidant. Again, I'm a strong advocate for wellness as a lifestyle, as opposed to all of these trends surrounding self-care and cutoff culture and protecting peace and all the things in between. I believe that wellness as a lifestyle generally allows you to be very intentional about the relationships that you enter into. And so then you don't have to jump to cutoff culture and all of these other remedies. It's time to talk about what I've been loving. product recommendations, shout outs to family and friends, and overall gratitude. Let's get into it. All right. There are several things that I have been absolutely loving. One, you all know it is my favorite season. I'm loving fall. And let me tell y'all, Starbucks did something new. This is why Starbucks is bae, okay? I drink the chai tea latte. I drink that in general, right? So this year they added pumpkin cold foam. Stop playing with me. When I tell you that drink is so fine. So if you love the chai tea latte, try it with the pumpkin cold foam and let me know what you think about it. I just think it's delish. Like, that's just on period. So I've been loving that. I've been loving the cooler weather. I've been loving the fall activities just in general. This is my favorite season. So that's what I've been loving this week. How about you? All right. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. In today's episode, I got on my soapbox and I talked to y'all about why the soft life mess is hindering you from your progress. It is unrealistic to expect life to be perfect. It's unrealistic to expect to avoid the conflict in life. And the conflict actually enhances your character. If you enjoyed today's episode, share the love. Share it with your mama, share it with your auntie, share it with your best friend, share it on social media and tag me. And then when you are done, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. Reviews help the podcast to grow. All right, that's all I have for you this week. I will see you out in these social media streets.